Hello everybody, it's really good to be with you again, and I hope you're all enjoying our stories together. Our story today is not about brothers or sisters or leaders of the Israelites. It's about two ordinary ladies. But these ladies actually became quite special. It happened a long time ago, and we can read the story in the Old Testament part of our Bible, where all our other stories have come from so far. The two ladies were called Ruth and Naomi. Sometimes those names are used still today, aren't they? You might know somebody, one of your friends might be called Ruth or Naomi. Although Naomi was older than Ruth, the two ladies were very good friends. They met when Naomi was living in a place called Moab. Now, Moab had not always been Naomi's home. It wasn't her hometown where she was born. But she had come there with her husband when there was not enough food in their hometown of Bethlehem. You may have heard of the town of Bethlehem before, I think, in another story. Sadly, one day, Naomi's husband died. She did have two grown-up sons, but very sadly they died too. So she was left all on her own, except for her two sons' wives, her daughters-in-law. Naomi's daughters-in-law were called Ruth and Orpah. So first Naomi had 6 people in her family, but sadly they became 5, then just 3. Herself, Ruth and Orpah. One day, however, Naomi decided that she would go back to her hometown. She wanted to go back to Bethlehem. And Ruth and Naomi both said, "We'll come with you. We'll come with you," Ruth and Orpah said. Naomi said, "No, you stay here in your home in Moab. Bethlehem's not your hometown." But they said, No, we want to come with you. So off they set. But on the way, Orpah thought about it, and I think maybe she thought she would miss her hometown too much. So she changed her mind, and she went back again to Moab. But Ruth wanted to stay with Naomi, and she said to Naomi, "No, Naomi, wherever you go, I will go too." She said she would join Naomi's people, and she would worship Naomi's God, who was the God that we worship too. So on they went. They arrived in Bethlehem, and Ruth and Naomi stayed living there. But they didn't have very much money. They were quite poor when they got there. So Ruth got food for them by going into the fields and collecting up scraps from the fields which were left after the harvesters had collected up all the good barley and wheat. At the harvest time of the year, the harvesters went in, collected up all the really good barley and wheat, and they left the little scraps in the field, especially for the poor people to go and collect. And that's what Ruth did. Now, the name of the owner of the field was a man called Boaz. He was a kind man. He was a rich man. He owned the field. And one day he noticed Ruth collecting up the scraps from the field, and he hadn't seen her before, So he asked the harvesters who she was. When he found out who she was, he decided he wanted to help Ruth and Naomi. So he secretly told his workers to make sure that there was always some extra good barley and wheat left for Ruth to collect. So instead of picking up just the little scraps, Ruth was able to collect up some really good barley and wheat. That was kind of him, wasn't it? But that's not quite the end of the story. There's a little bit more to this story. It had a very happy ending. Eventually, Ruth and Boaz got married. So then Naomi and Ruth were looked after and weren't poor anymore because Boaz was there to care for them. And that still wasn't quite the end of the story, because after they were married, Ruth and Boaz had a baby boy. The boy's name was Obed. Now, I don't think any of you have got a friend called Obed, have you? No. He was called Obed. So Obed was Naomi's grandson. Now, there was something special I want to tell you about Obed. When Obed grew up, he had a son too. And his son was called Jesse. Then when Jesse grew up, he had a son who was called David. And David became a very famous king. And we might just hear one of the stories about David another day. But what you might like to know was that David was the great, ever so many times grandfather of Jesus, who we remember was born in Bethlehem. Well, how about that? We know about Jesus being born in Bethlehem, don't we? We'll hear about that another day too. Well, weren't Ruth and Naomi kind to each other? Especially Ruth. Wasn't she kind to her mother-in-law, Naomi? Naomi must have been so sad when her husband and her sons died, and a bit worried when she was going back to her hometown of Bethlehem. And how pleased when Ruth went with her and stayed with her, and then Ruth married Boaz and then had her special baby called Obed. How pleased must Naomi have been. I hope you'll find someone who you can be with and be kind to this week. Think about that. And I hope somebody will be kind to you too. So, till we're back again for another story, take care, stay safe, be kind, and God bless. Bye for now.